All right, happy Spiritual Sunday. Welcome back again. Nice to have you all with us. So while they're populating here from around the world, I found a nice quick passage from Simple Light by Karen. So it's short but it's powerful. She says like this: if according to Kabbalah, and it sort of fits what you'll hear today, if according to Kabbalah we are all part of the God force, then what right do we have to pass judgment on others? And if we are all connected, then if I judge another, am I not ultimately judging myself? All right, so it's Karen's way of saying what we say here. Of course, I have to say she said it first and I came after that, but we're on one spiritual internet. So there's nothing that any human being does on earth that's not affecting every single human being on earth. Nothing. The issue is, like we'll talk and understand a little deeper perhaps today, we're just unconscious of it. In other words, you know, one of the simple examples I use right now, any of you can feel your kidneys working? No? You don't feel them working, do you? But do you have any doubt that they're working? So you're unaware, but you're certainly hopeful that they're working well. So if you think about it now, just the expanded consciousness, like we talked last week, everything is one. There's only one. There's no such thing as 8.5 billion people, etc. So like Karen says, if there's only one God force, one light force, then we're all interconnected by it, like we call it the spiritual internet. So just because we don't feel what other people out there are affecting us with, impinging our heart, soul, and mind with, doesn't mean it's not happening. And if you just stand back and you look at the world, even with the five senses, and including us, probably 99.9% of the people on earth are putting out various levels of anger, fear, jealousy, insecurity, judgment, hatred, violence, etc. So if you now go to what Karen said and what we often talk about, the one spiritual internet, then it's important to understand that every one of us are impinging everybody else out there with our little pieces of, because we're great people, our little pieces of the jealousy, the resentment, the guilt, the shame, the anger, the insecurity, the poverty consciousness, the greed, the ego, etc. So if you think about that, think objectively, why for thousands of years has there been basically the same trouble in humanity? Yeah, it looks a little different and sort of, if you will, different groups take turns over history to be the bad guys, but eventually everybody's been or has, you know, or is now a bad guy. At the same time, like I like to say, and you probably heard it a few times, if I offered you a penny, and don't be too spiritual, it's a simple example. If I offer you a penny, you'd say, oh, okay, not such a big deal. But if every human being on earth offered you a penny, suddenly you go, ooh, $85 million, that's pretty good, right? I'm pretty interested in that. So if you think about then that way, you and I are really, we're, let's say, on the penny level. We do have our insecurity, we have our anger, we have our resentment, etc. But relative to a lot of people out there, a small piece. Let's, you know, like 5 watts of it. And other people out there may be 500, 5,000, 50,000, 500,000 watts. But it's still the same thing. Insecurity, fear, anger, resentment, whatever. So our job, what we're learning here is, by keeping consciousness that there is only one light force and there is only one spiritual internet, then if I want to receive, like Karen was saying, if we don't judge another, then we don't get judged. So then in the opposite, if we're wishing everybody, if we're sending the light of happiness, peace, joy out into the world, then we are getting in return at least 1 penny of all those good things from 8.5 billion people. So it's like now 85 million pieces of happiness, joy, love, generosity, kindness, etc., which will help us to act in, as we're about to affirm, in a greater level of all those things, right? Unless you're 100% fulfilled, there's still more to go because the Creator gave us 100%. So to the extent we're missing pieces of happiness, joy, and prosperity, and health, and all those good things, to that extent we can increase the amount of good actions, light-like behavior that we pour out into the internet. And the beauty is, if you think in those simple terms, if you're pouring out one piece, what are you getting in return? 88.5 billion pieces in return. Now you tell me, I have yet in this lifetime heard of an investment you can make that will bring you 8.5 billion times what you put into it. The closest thing, and you've probably heard me say, the greatest return on investment is the Kabbalah Center. Spreading the Zohar, spreading this wisdom, because it's the ultimate way to remove pain, suffering, and death from the world. And what you imagine could be the return on that investment? If you and I can literally stop the angel of death from causing pain, suffering, and death in the world, what kind of reward can we get as a cause and effect return from that? So it's not just stopping temporarily a disease, a fight, a political argument, or what have you. It's permanently getting rid of pain, suffering, death, and all forms of chaos. Can you invest in anything better than that? I don't think so. I don't think so, and I haven't seen it. But we all have to evaluate it for ourselves. So now that we have some of our friends from around the world, okay, so let's do our affirmation. Those of you here, those of you online, we're going to say it together. Again, like we said, because I want to have strength to raise to my next level by the actions that I do, as we're about to say. Consciousness is everything. I raise my consciousness today to see the miracles and wonders of life. I
commit myself to behave with greater love, compassion, and kindness towards all human beings.
Great. Amen. I heard that. So that's it. It's just greater. It's just be a greater version of who you are until you get to the version that the Creator created us to be, that as I often hear Michael Berg talk about, he says we wouldn't even recognize it. In other words, if you and I could look in a mirror and see the true self that the Creator created us to be, it would be unrecognizable. It wouldn't look like we think just a better version of ourselves. It's way beyond that. Way beyond that. So we have to start moving in that direction, which is why I wanted to maybe add to whatever consciousness we all have about God's war. And you put it that way. Because, a lot of people, if you go back, everybody over history, like we said, has believed they are fighting God's war against the non-believers. But the non-believers are always the other people who believe about God in a different way than the one who picks to fight. And that's why I say it rotates around. So I don't want to say them all, but you just go back in history and you see. I don't care whatever religion you pick. Somewhere in history, if not currently, that religion has been the one committing all the God's war, as they call it. So, like we just said, consciousness is everything, and you and I have come to understand that the Zohar is literally just the blueprint of the universe. And therefore, as we call it, technology of the soul, it's the ways and means that we can understand everything in the universe, everything that's going on in us and around us, and it's the only way, by knowing those details, that we can solve the trouble of humanity. And that's why I wanted to explain what is God's real war. Because it says in the Bible, if you read the story, if you remember simply, and those of you who are newer, the Kabbalists believe that the 5 books of Moses did take place. They were real people, did real things. But what they were teaching us, which goes back to our free will, they were teaching us the laws of the universe. They weren't just trying to show what they did. Moses split the Red Sea. Okay, so what about you and me? So we don't think we have the ability to do that. But in a few different levels, we do. Okay, physically, have you ever split water?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, some of you already heard me before. But some of you, how do you split water? You go swimming, right? Can you split the water? No. But have you ever taken an ice cube out of your freezer? Yes? So if you take an ice cube, is it made of water, yes or yes? And if you hit it with a knife or you break it, have you split water, yes or yes? Oh, so what's the difference? Well, Moses split water, liquid water. We split solid water, but still split water. So at least open your mind to go beyond what we think are impossible miracles. Moses split the Red Sea. Joshua stopped the sun. People, walked on water, all these different things. So like they say about the Red Sea, we may not, at this level of our consciousness, be able to physically split liquid water. But that wasn't the point of what Moses was showing us. He was showing us that when we are facing a situation in our life that we call between the rock and the hard place, or we've come to this point where I don't see how to move forward. There's so many blockages, we're so confused. It's like a big steel wall in front of us that we can't get through. That's what he's teaching us. If you use what we do every week, but if you know how to use the entire 72 names, and you can use it in your highest consciousness, then you can split that wall that you think is holding you back from your good. Because that's what Moses used to split the Red Sea. The Kabbalists teach us. He used the 72 names of God. Yes, in his level of consciousness, he was able to channel enough light force to literally make that body of water, and technically every body of water on earth. He didn't split the Red Sea. He split water. So if you were holding a glass of water here in Boca, back at that time, your glass of water split. And if you looked at the Great Lakes, they also split. And if you looked at the Atlantic or the Pacific, they also split. He split water. For us, it's the idea we can overcome any challenge if we'll use the right instruments, or relative today, the right weapons of war. So when we're talking about God's war, it says, after the splitting of the Red Sea, in the Bible, which is coded, and that's why another aspect of free will. Either a person can read it literally and just create more chaos and confusion like the Zohar explains, or we can understand it as a code, which is the point of the Zohar. Decodify what the Bible is telling us. So right after that, after they're saved from, or we've saved from the Egyptians, then there's what's called the Song of the Sea. And in the midst of that song it says, God is a man of war, God is his name. So if you think about how people have been fooled into believing the Bible only on its literal level, then it's easy to understand how people can claim in the name of God to harm other people. Because it says God is a man of war. So then obviously if a person wants to be connected to God, they also have to be a person of war. So go fight the people who don't believe your way, who don't give you what you want, who don't do it the way you want, etc., and that's it. So for 5,784 years, Kabbalistic counting, it's been the same thing. Fighting. No? Yeah, sure, in between there's a little respite. Okay, World War I, then there was a respite, then there's World War II, then a little respite, and then whatever you go on. Korea, Vietnam, on and on and on. But it's still the same thing. Look at your life. Hello? Look at your life. Look back at how many times you've had the same issue over and over and over again. So it's the same issue, but it just takes place in different scenarios, in different areas of your life, and perhaps with different people involved in it. But it's the same thing over and over again. Because wake up, be awakened to the fact that I am the center of my universe. I am the one. When I take out my cell phone and I go on the internet, who decides, and don't be too tricky, but essentially in simple terms, who decides what I get on my phone? I do. It's my phone, my way to enter the internet, and even if many of you know me, I'm not, although I'm much better than I was not long ago, but the technology stuff, okay, I can get on the internet. But whether I understand what I'm doing or not, it's my knowledge or lack of knowledge that determines what I get on the spiritual internet from the entire World Wide Web by what I do here on my phone, what you do on your electronic device. So then how much more when we are a being of light, and we're on a spiritual internet, then what each of us get back from the internet is what we put out. the buttons we push. So like we read from Karen, if we're judging other people, don't be shocked when judgment comes back to you. Because that's what you put on the internet. It's like that's what you type in a search engine, judgment, what are you going to see? They're going to tell you back love and kindness? No, you're going to get all the definitions and all the examples of judgment. It's the identical thing, just in the metaphysical spiritual level. But the physical world, for most people, is the only way they can begin understanding how the spiritual works. Because the spiritual is the basis for the physical. So the World Wide Web is just a level of physical manifestation of the one soul internet that we have been since Genesis 1, since the first human being came out of the endless world. Only one came out of the endless world that was the entirety of all humanity from then until heaven on earth comes back. Then it was split into Adam and Eve, and split and split and split till we have now the 8.5 billion people. But the soul is still interconnected. That never stopped. That never stopped. There's no cutting the umbilical cord. So when a woman gives birth and they cut the cord, you think, okay, now it's a sort of independent. Although is it really, even as I'm saying and I'm hearing, but the baby's dependent on the mom. Got to feed and this, whatever you want to say. No, but you don't cut. You cannot cut the soul internet. Cannot cut that umbilical cord. Not the one between us, and not the one between us and the Creator. The only thing we do, like people do with their veins and arteries, block it. Block it. They block it so there's not as much circulation. They block their windpipes and all of that, their lungs, so there's not as much circulation of the air. But there's air, there's lungs, there's arteries and veins that will channel all this stuff. We are pure beings of light. But it's up to us to decide what we put out there is what comes back to us. So then where's the fight start? The fight starts with the idea why we left the endless world. Think about this. How many of you would like to right now be eternally blissed out in every way, shape, or form? Any of you?
2 people.
Yeah, 2 people. The rest of them say, I don't want to embarrass myself and raise my hand because the whole world is looking. Right? But we all know, yes, you'd like to have infinite eternal bliss? Yes, of course. So in the endless world, the Creator created one soul, filled us with infinite light. So we know we've experienced what infinite bliss is like. So why did we leave the endless world? So when for thousands of years people say, what's the purpose of life? What's the purpose of life? So take Kabbalah 1. By at least the 6th class, you know exactly what the purpose of life is. For every human being, not for Jews, Christians, or Muslims, or Buddhists, or black or white or yellow or whatever. No, for humanity, because we all have one Creator, one soul technology. But like the internet, you can express it whatever way you want. But it's the same operating system. So we left the endless world with the potential, with like a vision of eternal bliss. We felt the power of being capable, because the Creator filled us with light. We felt the power of being capable of having, experiencing, tasting, feeling eternal bliss, but we couldn't have it in the endless world because there was no one to share with. We were one being. And unfortunately, like people try in this world, but it's definitely the opposite of the purpose of life. People say, okay, I'll share with myself. So it's like, when they say, okay, it's coming, whatever, charity begins at home. So people say, great. So they'll take $1,000 out of their right pocket. They'll pass it to their left hand. They'll put it in their left pocket. I shared $1,000 of charity. Charity begins at home. No, they didn't give anything. We didn't come down here to get. We came down here to take what's inside of us and shine it out into the world and make it manifest. If you have a great idea and you don't make it manifest, what blessing do you get from it? If you have a check for $1 million and you don't go cash it or don't find a bank to cash it, what good is it? It's worthless. So the same thing, we came with a soul full of light. Essentially, it doesn't bring us happiness. It doesn't bring us any more lasting fulfillment unless or until we shine it out. But the only way to shine new light out into the world, and this is the tough part, in the darkness. This room right now is lit up. So in simple terms, fundamental terms, can we turn on more light here? No, the light's already here. If you want to experience greater light, you go into a dark area and you turn a light on there, remove the cover of darkness, add the illumination or transform it to illumination. Now you've added light. So if we're at 60 or 70% of our potential, you can't get 5% more revealed light if you don't find where your darkness is. So we came out of the endless world to just share our light with other people. But like anything in your life, when you objectively look back on your life, unless you've made an effort to achieve something, the joy, the happiness, and the fulfillment doesn't last very long. You ever had an amazingly great miracle? A great meal? You ever had a great meal? Something you just go, oh man, the best meal I ever had.
I guess so.
Okay. If any of you have suggestions of restaurants or places for these people to go to have a great meal, send it in. But think of that. So you have this great meal, and for a few hours you're like, oh man, that was the best, and the company was great, and this and this. But at some point, the next day, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days later, it's gone. Because the food is gone, the company is gone, the conversation is gone. It went away. You follow? Because it's temporary. But, like the Kabbalists teach us, when we're channeling light out of us, through the food, through the company, through the meal, while we're driving down the street, when we're going shopping, as we're channeling that light out of us, we are essentially taking the potential inside of us and making it manifest. That's all we came here. We came with the potential. The second glitch, let's call it, is, like we said, if you didn't make an effort to achieve anything in your life, it doesn't stay with you as fulfilling. It's nice at the time, right? I know people in high school that basically didn't have to study to get straight A's. It was just, now I would understand they came with it from their past life. They just came with that intelligence. They listened to the class. They passed the test straight A's. But it didn't last. That joy and that happiness, sure. When they got to college, a few people that I kept in touch with, all of a sudden, because they hadn't practiced, they didn't gain the talent of how to study. When they now got to college and they didn't know how to study because high school is so easy, now all of a sudden you take a lot of straight A students at a good college, you put them together, somebody's got to get a B, C, D, and F. So those people who didn't earn, so to speak, their straight A's in high school because it just came so easily, now they're in trouble. Now they're behind because they don't know how to study. They don't know how to study. You following the idea? So we had to create, as I now call it, the first artificial intelligent program opponent, like in a video game. You want to have a great video game, you have to create a good opponent. So as you beat the opponent, you feel victory. You don't feel victory, mostly, if you play tennis with a 3-year-old. Right? You really feel, or ping pong, you really feel victorious. The kid is eye level to the ping pong table, and you beat him 21-0. Yeah! So great. Do you really? No. You feel empty. Yeah, you won, but there was no challenging opponent. So we created an opponent that is meant to be, has ways and means to be, and ultimately will be defeated. The issue is, are we going to play the stupid game and not follow what the Zohar, the Kabbalists, and the tools we learn here give us, how to beat? Are we going to do like we've been doing for thousands of years, just the same problem over and over? Blame them, blame them, blame them, blame them. Because that's the number one tactic of this AI program. Nothing is my fault, it's all them. Why do I feel bad? They said something. Why do I feel bad? They did something. Why do I feel chaotic in this? Look what they're doing out there in the world. Them. It's interesting. The only time we don't blame people, even without Kabbalah, when you get a promotion, when great things happen, you win the lottery, suddenly, oh yes, I did it. I'm responsible for building the business. I'm responsible for doing this, that, or the other thing. When it's all good, of course I did it, right? The ego. But then the other side of the ego is when it doesn't feel so nice, when somebody pushes my buttons, and we always say that, but people forget it's my button. No, it's their fault they pushed my button. Really? Get rid of your button, nobody could push your button. So this AI programming has been there over and over and over because it's here in our head. So anywhere you go, you have the challenger in your head. And that is the only war there is. Even when they say, if you think about it, even in traditional religious terms, when they talk about God and the devil fighting. So what in the world, if you think now objectively, what in the world, if God and the devil are fighting, what does it have to do with me? Right? God's out there somewhere. That's what the AI program made us believe. Not that there's God inside of us or the light of the Creator. Of course, then there's also the devil. No, the devil is out there. And the devil and God are fighting with each other. So, what about us? Let's just go about our business. Why do we care? It's like really in simple terms, right? When there's people arguing 1,000 miles away from you. Like right now, do you think there's nobody, let's say even here relative to us, let's say 10 miles away. You think whatever, in Delray or you go down to Pompano, you think nobody's arguing with anybody? Nobody's having a little confusion right now? Of course they are. How come it's not bothering you? Why don't you say, oh, look, bothering me. How could they be fighting? They should stop fighting. You know, it's not part of you. So when the devil and God, which you know is a foolish corruption, if they're fighting, okay, what's it have to do with me? No, so we learn the only fight is here in our head because we have the voice of our soul. Our soul is inside of us. Our soul is not outside of us. Our soul is in us. That's what allows us to breathe, walk, talk, think everything we do. The person is called dead when the soul leaves. If we were powerful, if we had the energy and we were the creators of life, then a person would never die. A person only dies because the soul energy leaves. And the body is just the vehicle that makes it happen. Your car battery goes dead, your car runs out of gas, the car is still perfect, but it's not going to run because there's no energy to make it run. You're a great driver, the gears work, everything, but it's not going to move. No gas, no battery. You get the idea? So the same with us. So you can't look out there. The Creator implanted in us and we put that AI programming in our own head. So what they call the War of Armageddon, the fight of consciousness is here. In Kabbalistic terms, Gog and Magog, the War of Armageddon, means the war of thoughts. Think about it. Let's start with sports. Anyone ever play? You ever play or watch sports? Yeah. Okay. So do you ever see one team or one side of whatever game you're looking at tries to psych out the other side?
Yes.
Right? Whatever way. You know, you always see in the football movies, the linemen going, we're going to get you, and you're going to get you, and you're a nothing. I'm going to beat the, you know what, out of you. And this and that. They're trying to get in the guy's mind. Psych him out. Why? Because we know our behavior begins and ends here. If you can psych them out, they can't play well. Then you. So we put the programming here, and the voice of our soul is here. That's where the battle is. Even you think about it. Somebody says something nasty. I was telling, we had 2 new people showed up here on Friday night. So I gave them this example. It's only here. So let's say you're on your way in an area you're not so familiar with, but you're going to meet a group of your best friends, right? Your favorite loved ones. But you happen to be walking in a dark alley, you know, where there's shadows and this and not completely bright. And you see a shadowy figure coming to you, right? Where is the deciding factor of whether it's friend or foe?
I think it's a feeling you get.
You only see a shadowy figure. You're on your way to meet your loved ones. What makes you decide, is it friend or foe? It's here. If you have a tendency to fear, probably your first thought is going to be, uh-oh, here comes somebody after me, the bad guy, the boogeyman, right? If the other way around, if you're really excited and you're so happy and you're just overjoyed, you look and you say, oh, I think that could be one of my friends going to the restaurant or wherever we're meeting. But in the shadows, you can't tell which. You have to decide here in your head. The same thing, business. Something happens in business. Does everybody say, oh, terrible? Or some people say, oh, this is a great thing. It all goes back to here. If the stock market goes up or down, one of the Rav's favorite examples, is it always bad when the stock market goes down? No, because some people do whatever they call selling short. So they're betting that it will go down. So if it goes down, but if they win, the person who bought, like I usually think of it, buy this supposed to go up, they're sad. So again, what makes the difference? Yes, you could say they got money or not. But where is that? Here in their head. If they didn't make money now, in their mind, they've already got a movie of what all bad things are going to happen. If they made the money, now in their mind comes all the movies of what they're going to do with their money. But you understand it begins and ends here, because this is the force that decides our actions. So we have to come to the consciousness that there are those two forces in our head, those two voices, and whichever one we give power to is the one that's going to decide our behavior. That's it. And then once you behave, action, reaction, cause and effect. Whatever we do comes back. So like we read from Karen in the beginning, if a person puts the energy of judgment out there, judgment going to come back. And let's be honest with ourselves. Any of us have anything to be judged about? Yeah, exactly. How do you know? Because here and there you look in the mirror and you go, that was a stupid thing. How could you be such a fool? You judge yourself. So of course, if we can judge ourselves, then other people out there obviously can judge us even more because they have their own issues. You follow? So the more you put out compassion, kindness, and forgiveness, the more it's going to come back to you. But the more we put out the negative stuff, the more it's going to come back. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. But you and I are learning because we didn't defeat the voice in our head. We didn't overcome the real enemy, the real opponent. So I wrote a few things down like this. Let's put it this way. And one other piece. You start in the Bible with the snake, which is unfortunately how they translate it into English. I can't say the other languages, but not in the Hebrew, its original language. But the snake. So the snake is really just the first way we all learn about the AI programming. Because even the snake, if you think about it, read the literal story. What did the snake do? Psyched out you and me in the bodies of Adam and Eve, right? You and I have free will. We're looking at two trees. The tree of chaos, knowledge, good and bad. The tree of life, endless bliss. We're looking at it, and that snake is taunting us. Well, don't you really want to be like God? Of course, I think I want to be like God. I want to be. God made me to be like God, right? Well, doesn't God know everything? Yes, God knows everything. That's right, in my head, right? Yes. So, eat the tree of good and bad, then you'll know everything. If you eat of the tree of life, you only know the good stuff. Oh, yeah. That sounds logical in my head. Did the snake take their hands, put it on the, whatever you want to call the fruit of the tree of knowledge and force it in their mouth? No. So the snake just psyched them out. And then what did the snake do? This AI programming, first it created the idea of the snake. Then it's transmuted into another entity, so people think, the devil, or the angel of death, or the evil inclination, or the ego, or whatever, Lucifer, whatever name you want to give it, Satan. It's just the same thing. It's the AI programming, just putting out there a lot of different distractions to psych us out. Oh, it's that one, that one, that one, and that one. Like your particular karma, or what we call tikkun. Always, not you guys, but somebody who's had 10 bad relationships. Psych out. Well, first it was them who did the bad thing. Second was them who did the bad thing. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Who was the only one in common? Who was the only person in common in all those relationships? Me, myself, and I. So, it goes here. Oh, I think they do something bad, end of that relationship. I think this boss is no good, end of that job. I think this is bad, the end of them. And I'm not telling you have to hang out with negative behaving people. But if you want to change your destiny, you can't leave, you can't run away reactively out of anger, fear, resentment, hurt, judgment, etc. You cannot, because you're going to attract more of the same, which has been your experience. Same issues over and over and over again. So the only way that we can win the war, God's war, which is really our war, is by understanding light is the only thing to take away darkness. And if we're channeling the light, then what are we really saying? I'm listening to the voice of the light of my soul. Be kind. Yes, there's darkness. Somebody said something, pushed my button of darkness, fear. So I have to send the light of trust and certainty, compassion and kindness. If I shine light into the darkness, 100 times out of 100, what will happen to the darkness? Disappears. Have you ever turned the light on in your house and the darkness stayed? Have you ever lit a match and the darkness stayed? Have you ever, now with a cell phone, open up your phone so that little light that shines from it, did it ever turn on and then it's remained dark? No. Every time you turn on light, darkness goes away. So how much more the power of the infinite light of the Creator? You shine that out into the world. I don't have to know how to stop the fighting in America, all the chaos. I don't have to know how to stop the fighting and the chaos around the world, whatever it is. Disease, fighting, political, economic, whatever you want to call it, religious fight. No, I just have to shine the light. The light knows how to take away the darkness. The light knows how to wake up inside everybody the pure and perfect being of light. The light does that work. We don't do it. Our only job, the only reason we came out of the endless world, shine light. Be a conduit of light. Even in simple terms, religion, which unfortunately is a corruption from the technology called Kabbalah, and various aspects of that corruption create Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, etc., etc. But even in the frame of religion, the theoretical, conceptual idea of religion, if you take the word, like we often talk about discover, what's the word religion? You ever think about it? No, we think religion, Jew, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, whatever. No, what's the word mean? You ever stop to think about it? Religion. Caught you. Some of you thought, okay, I heard some of this before from Chaim. Boom, religion. Religion, to reunite. Reunite. So even in its simple way, religion was supposed to be a way to reconnect with the light of the Creator, with God. That's what to religion, which means from the Garden of Eden, when we messed it up and separated from the tree of life and created good and bad and chaos and confusion and death, pain and suffering, our job has been to reconnect with the tree of life, reconnect with the light of the Creator, meaning take the light inside of us that's always there, never goes away, but it's only potential until we manifest it by shining it out. Greater love, kindness, and compassion. That's it. And as we do that, the darkness goes away and more of heaven on earth shows up. That's it. That's all we're here to do. So how do we do that? Okay. Again, all we're doing is stopping the mind games. So, like the Rabbi Karen said, we all have these buttons. Yes? Can you admit you have some button, fear, insecurity, guilt, shame, whatever it might be? Or are you going to tell me now you're pure and perfect, actually manifest? We're here to manifest that, yes, we are potentially pure and perfect beings of light, but we're not manifest there yet. Even if you're at 95% of your potential, there's still pieces of love, kindness, etc., that you can do better at, right? To reveal the next 5%. Okay, so if we think like that, the only way, and I challenge you to give me another way. So those of you who are watching online, message me. If we need to have a conversation, I'm happy to do that. Those of you here, we could talk either afterwards or another time. But the only way to shift our gears from instant reactive behavior, right? Like the old thing where you cross your legs at the doctor and he takes that little, rubber hammer and hits you just above the knee. Your knee goes up automatically, right? You can't really stop. Even sometimes you try. As a kid, you try and stop. Of course, as a kid, you can't do it. You hit it because that's the way it's programmed. You hit that particular nerve, it's contracting the muscle, the leg's going to go. You follow? Unless you hold it physically with your hand kind of thing, but it's trained, programmed to go. So you and I have programmed ourselves. What's your button? Think. You don't have to say it out loud. Think one button you've got. So every time a person pushes that button, or you watch the news and it pushes that button, or you look out on the street or the supermarket and that button is pushed, automatically the feeling and the thought of that button, anger, insecurity, jealousy, resentment, whatever it may be, comes up. And it will come out of you if you don't pause. Without the pause, it's impossible to transform from instant gratification into shining your light. It's impossible to transform from give me to let me shine my light out through you. Impossible. A lot of people are doing a lot of nice things. You and I do a lot of nice things. But we stay at the same level. Because unless we pause to do more, we will only be kind, compassionate, loving, caring, forgiving to the same level we're at. So if right now you're at 70, you will share 70% of the time in 70% of the ways to 70% of the people. The other 30 is hidden behind the curtains, we call them, of whatever your issue is: fear, insecurity, jealousy, greed, resentment, judgment, etc. in the dark. So the only way to add to your life is by pausing and say, no, I don't want to just keep doing the same thing again. I don't want to stay on the same level, even if it's the best I've experienced up to this point in this life, because I know I have 100% waiting to show up. So when I pause, then I can do like this. Then I can choose, because this is the real war, right? The real war is the light of God. Even in that phrase, when it says, God is a man of war, God is his name. Well, here we're about to do, when we finish, one of the names of God. One of the 72 names. This combination, the 72 combinations, there's various ones in the Bible. It's called the Tetragrammaton, the Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's what it says. It doesn't say God. There is no word for God. There's all hundreds of names for what we call the attributes of God. So it doesn't say that. So in essence, it's saying the light is an energy of war. War against the darkness. The Yud Kei Vav Kei, the various combinations, or like the one we're going to use today, this is the name of God that will remove forms of darkness, which will therefore or thereby remove aspects of our chaos, our confusion, our pain, and our suffering. Only the light will take it away. So it's right, but again coded. The light is a warrior, because you turn on light, and the beauty is it's guaranteed victor. It's not like, you play tennis, you watch any of these tennis matches. Well, one time the top seed wins and one time somebody beats him or her, right? It's not the same over and over. The only 100% guarantee the light. The light 100% of the time will take away darkness. Some facet of the darkness. So that's it. That's what it's saying. So if you want, once you pause, then you have to think. The button that was being pushed, animosity. So we have to pause and say, no, I want to win the war over animosity. My animosity, not theirs. So I have to extend the light of grace. When the button is insensitivity, then I have to pause and I have to shine the light of greater kindness into that darkness to overcome my insensitivity. If it's greed, woke up, look what's going to happen, the business going down, the market going down, this and that, I got to keep for myself, keep myself. No, we know the first law of prosperity in any religion. They may not understand the technology of it, but every religion teaches the first law of prosperity, tithing. You must give away 10% of your income. Whatever comes to your pocket, 10% has to go back as light to transform the world. Doesn't belong to you. So when that thought of greed or poverty or lack wakes up, pause. Say, no, my source is the light. Generosity. Give at least the 10%. Put the 10% out there. Now you're asking the light force to do the work to bring you greater prosperity, to put you in the right path and the right people and the right things. the button of resentment. They push your button of resentment. Pause. Extend extra forgiveness, right? Like we talk about. Now, the light is brighter. More forgiveness comes back to you for the things that you have left to be forgiven for. We're the ones, like Karen said, it was so beautiful. There's only one God force, one of us. So whatever we put out there comes back. And obviously the ultimate is when they push those buttons, especially going on so unfortunately, terribly, intensively today, hatred. Hatred. Probably the most visceral energy going out in the world if you stop to feel it. So you got to pause and say the only thing that will stop hatred is the light of love. The Creator is unconditional love. Unconditional. Not just love. Because you and I have loved before the center. You love that person, then suddenly you fall out of love. You don't love them anymore, but you go find someone else to love. That's not real love. Unconditional love is constant. And again, it doesn't mean you have to hang out with the same people all the time. But the love and the growth of that energy of serenity, peace, clarity, guidance will be with you always. Will be with you always. So that's our only hope. That's the only way it's going to do. The Rav used to say, just reminds me, I don't have time for hatred. I'm busy spreading the light.
What about
And
judgment?
same difference, judgment. Judgment means I'm not seeing my responsibility. You ever look in the mirror and judge yourself? So how can you say they did it? Okay, you judge other people. Why? Because you see from your own eyes. Right? Look at whatever side of an issue, whatever issues going on that people are fighting over. Even in those terms, one side is judging the other in some bad way. They're stupid, they don't see, how can they be like that? They're ignoramus, blah, 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 blah. Well, the other side looking at them and saying the same thing. Everybody judging everybody else because they judge themselves, and therefore judgment has to come back. The more we can pierce through the veils of darkness, the veils of all those negative energies, and see the light of the Creator inside each person, and we extend our light more, then you're going to activate the light in them. And that's the only hope we have to transform the world without, heaven forbid, a zillion times, World War III. Which, the War of Armageddon, technically we've always been in it. But on the outside, doesn't have to be. The Kabbalists say, I think it's in the book of Jeremiah, it says the end of pain, suffering, and death can come in the blink of an eye. When you walk in your house at night and you turn on the light, how fast does the darkness go away? 10 seconds, 20 seconds? Or is it blink of an eye? So the same thing. And again, how much more powerful is the infinite light of the Creator? And since it's infinite, it will touch on the one spiritual internet every human being on earth. So you want to get rid of those people out there who are murder, rape, and robbing whoever, or the ones who are spewing out toxic hatred with terrible speech? The only way, wake up the light inside of them, will remove the cloud of darkness. And the way I've come to understand it, when you wake up, think of yourself. You have regret for anything? You have any regret for anything you've done?
Yes.
Okay. Is it pleasant or painful? And when that regret, the pain of regret is painful enough, what have we done? You immediately, uncaring about, so to speak, other people, and I don't mean in the insensitive way, but like you don't care what they said, what they did, what they're doing. When you feel enough pain of regret, you will go out to apologize for what you did, even if it's to the worst, nastiest acting person currently on earth, because you want to relieve your pain of regret. So when we're spreading the light, especially this is the way I tell people about the Zohar, when there's enough Zohar in the world, the light will remove the darkness, and we wake up in all the nasty acting people, which is you and I to our extent, and other people to tremendous extent, but you'll wake up the pain of regret to such a degree they will have to do something about it. So the person they were just hating on, the person they were just about to beat up, when they have a sudden instant but so intense feeling of regret for those kinds of similar actions they've done in the past, they will immediately, with this person in front of them, apologize, forgive, make up with, do something to be like the light, because they understand it's the only way to remove their pain, because it will be so obvious it's inside them. Meanwhile, those people out there, they do have a lot of pain, but the AI programming makes them think it's because of those other people. Get rid of those people that have no more pain. Well, like you and I, you left a job, found another job, great, and then it was terrible. And then left that job, found another job, great for a while, then terrible. The same pain. But we kept blaming it out there. No, when you spread enough Zohar and the light is so bright, everybody will wake up with such pain of regret, they will automatically go to make up with every other human being, and then that one soul will be revealed. What is heaven on earth? It's heaven on earth, love your neighbor as yourself, means when literally every person is looking how I can shine light and shining light, so I'll know how I can help the other people more. Instead of what can they do for me, what can I do for them? Because again, going back to the beginning, we left the endless world because we were unable to manifest the light the Creator put in our soul. So love your neighbor as yourself says, I look at 8.5 billion people, no matter what they're doing on the outside, and I want to unconditionally share my light with them because I want my piece of heaven on earth. I want all my pain, suffering, and death to go away. I want my confusion to disappear, and I want eternal bliss. The nice part is I have to do it for them also. So where we're at, we are in a time, it's essential that we who have this understanding be those warriors in the war of God. God's war against the darkness, not against people. There is no enemy in a human body. The enemy is the thought in their head that's influencing them to do what we don't like. So you get rid of that negativity in their head, you get rid of their bad behavior. You get rid of their bad behavior or get rid of those people, they just keep reincarnating. Different ways, different things. I mean, look at history, right? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. Well, we've had the same results over and over. We got rid of all the bad actors, got rid of all the genocidal maniacs, and they keep showing up. Because you're not getting rid of the darkness, the cause. The Kabbalah Center was formed over 100 years ago from a great lineage of great master Kabbalists, including Rabbi Shimon, the man who channeled the Zohar into physical writing, for one purpose. One purpose. To spread this wisdom, to spread the light, get rid of the angel of death, and unite all people as we were in the beginning in that one being that came out of the endless world, in that place called the Garden of Eden. So it's essential that now we fight our battle and be victorious over my opponent. You fight yours, because remember, one internet. So on that one internet is also the negativity, is also the opponent, is also the angel of death, is also Satan, whatever name you give it. So the more we fight it and we remove that negative force, it goes out into the internet and it wakes up in everybody else the angel of life to overcome their angel of death, the angel of the good inclination over their evil inclination, the angel of humility over the angel of ego, the angel of love over the angel of hatred. And the more you and I will do that, the faster we spread it on the internet, darkness goes away because we got rid of the source of the darkness. And now our life will be better, the world will be better, and we can live as we're supposed to be, as we were meant to be, as we did for 5 minutes in the beginning. We can live in the Garden of Eden and heaven on earth forever. God bless.
Wow. Thank you, Lonnie.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Afterwards, let's do this now. Okay. So those of you who've been with us, you know this is the time. It's a free will offering, right? We do certainly encourage donations to the center to help us with literally just this. Bringing people to understand the wisdom, similar to what we were talking about, but also to spread the Zohar. You spread the Zohar, like we said, you transform the world because you take away darkness. So it's a free will offering. Whatever you want to do, we're going to take a moment to bless it. Those of you who are online, I put the link to do that. Okay. But remember, everything in the physical world is a means to express our light. So our friends and our family, a means that we can express our light. They're not, let's call it, the objective. They're the means to reveal love, kindness, a great relationship, good health, all those things. So everything, your car, even in the physical world, your car is a means to get from point A to B. It's not the objective. If your car were the objective, you'd leave it in the garage, sit in it for an hour, go, ooh, great car, nice, look at all the gadgets and this, and then get out and you'd still be home. No, it's a means to get from place to place. Your job is a means to get from place to place. And I don't mean in an insensitive way, but you're saying it's a means. What's your job? It's a way you can spend your time and your talent in order to get rewarded with money, that you can then use the money as a means to pay your bills, buy nice things, etc., which those things are a means to have a sense of peace and happiness and joy, which those means can be a means to have eternal bliss. But if it's all about the physicality, then it's only a means to have more pain, suffering, and chaos. If it's a means to channel the light, then the infinite light never leaves. And once it's manifest, it's yours forever. So this is why we take this moment, and yes, then don't go away. We still have our 72 name. But money is a means. It's a vessel, a conduit. So this is why we want to bless it. So just hold it, those of you here. Hold it, those of you who are online. Do the meditations with us, and then please go online and help us speed up and accelerate the spread of the Zohar and the light that will let heaven on earth show up without any more pain and suffering. So we just first and foremost want to fill this gift, this offering, with our gratitude. Being grateful not only for the good that's in our life, but looking back, even grateful for the challenges that we persevered through. We dedicated our time, our effort, and our certainty to overcome, our efforts to overcome the challenges. And as we look back, we see they made us better in many different ways in our life. They set us up for a better future. So right now we want to inject into this offering just gratitude for all the situations that come our way, because we are grateful for what we learn here in the center, how to make the light brighter, the good things even better, how to make the things that temporarily are in the darkness transformed to disappear into the light that we shine, so that everything that comes our way, anything we experience, can be transformed ultimately from curses to blessings, from darkness to light. And we know through the projects of the center, spreading this wisdom, spreading the Zohar, that we are activating the pure, unified light of the Creator inside every person on earth, more and more and more, until everyone is manifesting their pure and perfect light beingness, and the world is ahead of time, before the deadline, in peace, harmony, unity, and love. And meanwhile, we know as what we put out into the world will come back to us many, many times over. So with love, gratitude, appreciation, blessings, we send it out to do its work. And we know it comes back to us multiple times over, and together we say, Amen. I just mentioned, as I was thinking about it, we now have one of the teachers moved to Argentina. We had a center for a while, whatever, it kind of came and went. They've been down there, the couple is down there, and I just got a video of the president of Argentina giving on camera, on TV, one of these pocket Zohars to the newscaster that was interviewing him. So just to again understand, we've talked in different ways, this is the newest one, that people all over the world are now not only making more effort to get these and go distribute them, but there are more and more people on all levels of society, of all cultures, colors, whatever, that are openly accepting, because there's been enough awakening that people are at least understanding that what we've done up to now doesn't work, and it's got to be something new. So when somebody from the center comes and looks at somebody with a big smile and says, look, this is a book of blessings, and just the light of the Creator to take away your chaos, bring you blessings and peace, I just want to give it to you as a gift. 99.9% of the people these days are happy to receive it. Happy to receive it. And now we're seeing things like this. So just to put it in your mind that it's growing. So let's do our 72 name. So for those of you that are new, yes, they're 3 Aramaic letters, 3 Hebrew letters. It's the same alphabet, but they are not a construct of humanity. These are primordial. They come out of the endless world with us, as did our soul. We didn't create our soul, but our soul manifests in all the physical ways. Essentially for us, as our human body is a manifestation of our soul energy. So when the light of the Creator came out of the endless, it took on 22 basic frequencies, forms, which are the Hebrew letters or the Aramaic letters. So they shine light. It's not about a language. In fact, this is not a word. If you know Hebrew, it's not a word, but it's a combination of energies that, in this case, will wake up freedom within us. Mem, Tzadi, Resh. That's all you have to know. Look at the shapes. Eyes are the window to the soul. So inside us is the energy of freedom, like we just discussed. We want to be free from the influence of that opponent that's in our head, not the opponent on the outside. So this is to help wake up that energy inside of us to be able to break the next chain of bondage that we are in. Fear, anger, resentment, hurt, guilt, shame, whatever it may be. So just keep it in your mind's eye. Mem, Tzadi, Resh. And then sit comfortably in your chair, feet on the floor, hands on your lap. Take a few deep breaths to relax yourself, to open up those channels, the spiritual veins and arteries of the light that are in and throughout us, and that also interconnect us with everybody on earth. So breathe in through the nose, hold the breath for a moment, exhale through your mouth, allowing that circulation of not only the physical air, but the spiritual light that the air is embodiment of. That it flows through you, opening up those spiritual veins and arteries to allow more and a greater flow of light through them. Allowing yourself to relax into the energy of the light, the infinite light, all around us and within us. Feel the warmth of that unconditional love of the light of the Creator. Feel it enveloping you, hugging you, feeling more warmth, more comfort, more peace, serenity, and security in the light. And let's envision above our heads, Mem, Tzadi, Resh. The combination of particles of the light of the Creator, portals from the endless world into our world. Mem, Tzadi, Resh. And see them shining, glowing, vibrating and emanating this infinite light of the Creator of freedom. Freedom of bondage to the illusion, bondage to our 5 senses, freedom that will allow the eyes of our heart to see the world, the love within our heart, the unconditional love to radiate from us, and the energy of the light, the pure light of our soul, to shine in its fullness and its brightness, freeing us from all the darkness and illuminating us as a guiding light through all the obstacles, challenges of the world, to actively interconnect the heart and the soul and the mind of the Creator in each human being. And so we allow the Mem Tzadik Resh, as it's glowing bright with the energy of freedom, to enter through the top of our head, activating the light force, which is freedom from darkness, in our head, our consciousness, that we tune in more strongly, powerfully, and focused on the light of the Creator in us and the voice of the Creator that speaks to us constantly. And allowing the light, Mem Tzadik Resh, to continue from head to toe, unblocking our spiritual arteries and veins, activating and shining out from us more and more of the light that's been implanted in us. Feel that rejuvenating power from head to toe. The light activating more and more of the light in the physical processes of our body. And as we extend it out from us to the heart and soul, family, friends, associates, out to the entire world, feeling that more powerful circulation, reaching all humanity, of freedom from bondage, freedom from looking to other people for blame, for the cause of troubles, difficulty, but the freedom to be the cause by shining light out of our soul, to be the cause of illuminating the world, removing the darkness, manifesting all the blessings, love, peace, health, prosperity, guidance, protection, all the blessings of the light. And let's see together in unity, every person on earth having that awakening, seeing the light, and even if necessary, feeling the overwhelming pain of regret to the level that will immediately bring greater actions of love, kindness, and compassion. That we free ourselves more and more and free the world through the Mem Tzadik Resh from all the discord, all the divisiveness, and bring peace, unity, and love once again to humanity. Commit yourself to remember the thoughts that are now in your head, the vision of peace and harmony, the inspiration you gained of where, how, to whom you can share more light and receive more blessings. Strengthening their vision, the Mem Tzadik Resh. And together we take one more deep breath to lock it in, anchor it in our heart, soul, and mind, and slowly exhale and open your eyes. Have a great week. God bless. Have an amazing day. And just keep spreading the light. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. If you liked what you saw, click the subscribe button so you'll be notified of future videos as we post them. Would also love to hear your comments and questions, whether it's about this video in particular or about the wisdom of Kabbalah as we teach it in the Kabbalah Center. If you'd like to learn more about various subjects, go to our website, www.kabbalah.com. We have thousands of articles and classes on various subjects within the wisdom of Kabbalah. Share this video with other people. If you were inspired and it can change your life, let's start changing thousands and thousands of people's lives around the world also. If you'd like to contribute in support of Spiritual Sunday and the projects of the Kabbalah Center, that link is also below. I wish you an amazing day, afternoon, evening, wherever you may be out there. And may God bless us all that we awaken the light of the Creator, not only inside us to a higher level, but touching the heart and soul of every human being on earth with the light of the Creator.